The pitch deck had 26 slides. My face was not on one of them. My name was gone from the founder page, gone from the product history, gone from the patent notes, gone from the technical roadmap, and gone from the little gray footer where I had once written the first version number of the software that kept the whole company breathing. But the investors did not notice that first. They noticed the app crashed when my former co-founder tried to explain it. They noticed the demo froze on the one feature I had begged him not to touch. And then one woman at the end of the conference table looked over her glasses and asked the question that made the room turn cold. Who wrote the original code? Noah Whitaker smiled like he had rehearsed for every question except the truthful one. I sat 2 chairs away from him, wearing a navy blazer, quiet hands, and the same calm face people always mistake for surrender. He had erased my name from the startup, but he had forgotten something simple. Code remembers its mother. And mine had my fingerprints in every line. 6 months earlier, our company was still working out of a converted warehouse in Austin, Texas, where the air conditioning sounded like an old lawnmower and the Wi-Fi gave up every time it rained. The startup was called MedLedger. It was supposed to help small clinics track patient billing errors before insurance companies turned small mistakes into expensive disasters. Not glamorous, not flashy, but useful. The kind of software people do not clap for until it saves them from losing money they cannot afford to lose. I had built the first version in my apartment after my shift at a health tech support job. I was not rich. I was not connected. I did not come from a family where someone could write me a check and call it belief. I had a second-hand desk, one good laptop, and a stubbornness that scared even me sometimes. Noah came later. He had Polish. That was the word everyone used, Polish. He knew how to walk into a room and make people feel like they were already missing out if they did not know him. He had the haircut, the smile, the Stanford hoodie he wore, even though he had only attended a summer program there, and the kind of confidence that made uncertainty sound like strategy. When he first joined me, I was relieved. I hated pitching. I hated networking events where everyone spoke like a LinkedIn post wearing cologne. Noah loved them, he said. Viola, you build the thing. I'll make people understand why it matters. And for a while, I believed him. That was my flaw. I did not trust everyone. But when I trusted someone, I gave them the good chair in my mind and let them sit too long. In the beginning, Noah made me feel seen. He called me brilliant in front of people. He told our first angel investor, without Viola, this is just a pretty idea with no engine. He brought coffee when I coded through the night. He defended me once when a consultant asked if we had a real technical lead. Noah pointed at me and said, "You're looking at her." I remembered that. That is the dangerous part about betrayal. It does not arrive wearing horns. Sometimes it wears the same face that once protected you. Our first real client was a chain of urgent care clinics outside Dallas. They had billing chaos, duplicate charges, denied claims, missing notes, and one administrator named Brenda Hollis, who looked at our software like it was a life raft. After the first month, MedLedger found over $412,000 in preventable billing errors. That number changed everything. Noah started getting interviews, local business blogs, health tech podcasts, founder panels. At first, he said, "We," then he said, "our team." Then slowly, quietly, like someone removing furniture from a room while you are sleeping, he began saying, I realized clinics needed something better. I designed the system around billing accountability. I built a platform that could scale. I told myself I was being sensitive. The second time, I told myself founders speak loosely under pressure. The third time, I sat in the back of a hotel ballroom and watched him accept applause for a sentence I had written in our first product memo. Afterward, I asked him about it. He laughed, soft and careful. "Viola, come on. You know what I mean when I say I." Investors like a simple founder story. It doesn't mean I'm erasing you. That word stayed with me, erasing. He said it before I did. That should have warned me. But I wanted peace. I wanted the company to work more than I wanted to win every little argument. So I let it pass. That is how a cage gets built around you, not with one locked door. With 100 small moments where you tell yourself it is not worth a fight. Then came the first real sign. My access to the fundraising folder changed. I clicked the link one Tuesday night and saw a message that said I needed permission. At first, I assumed it was a Google Drive mistake. So I messaged Noah. "Hey, I can't open the investor folder." He replied 20 minutes later. "Cleaning up permissions. Nothing serious. I'll add you back." He did not add me back. The next morning, I found a new deck in our shared office printer. I was not snooping. The printer jammed. I opened the tray. There it was, MedLedger Series A investor presentation. Founder, Noah Whitaker. Not co-founder. Founder. My stomach went quiet before my face did. There is a silence your body makes when it understands something your pride is still trying to negotiate. I flipped through the pages. Product origin story, Noah Whitaker identified inefficiencies in clinical billing. Technical architecture, developed internally under Noah's leadership. Roadmap AI-powered claims prediction. Team slide, Noah as CEO. 2 advisors. 1 part-time designer, no Viola Carter. I looked at the deck until the paper felt hot in my hand. Then Noah walked in, and he did what polished men do when caught early. He smiled like the truth was a misunderstanding. "Viola, before you react, that's just an investor-facing version." "Investor-facing?" I asked. "Clean narrative, you're still the CTO. Then why am I not in the team slide?" He sighed, like I had disappointed him by noticing my own disappearance. Because some investors get nervous when the technical founder has too much control before a raise. That sentence was so insulting I almost admired the confidence it took to say it. I said, "The technical founder is the reason there is something to invest in." His eyes hardened for half a second. Then the smile came back. "Exactly, and after we close the round, we restructure properly. You'll be protected." Protected. That word always sounds strange coming from the person holding the knife. I should have left that day. Because leaving meant losing the thing I built. Because employees were now depending on payroll. Because clients were using the software. Because my mother used to say, "Never walk away from a house you built just because someone else learned how to stand in the doorway." So I stayed, but something in me moved. I stopped asking, why is Noah doing this? What can I prove? That night, I went home and opened my old laptop. The first repository was still there, the original commit. The first database schema, the first patient billing logic, the first error detection engine. Every file had timestamps. Every commit had my username. Every test script had my notes. Every late-night fix carried the small signature programmers leave without meaning to. Not just in metadata, in style. People think code is invisible. It is not. Code has handwriting. Mine had comments in plain English, because I always wrote for the future person who would have to fix my tired decisions. Sometimes that future person was me at 2:13 in the morning. Sometimes it was a junior developer who had not been hired yet. I opened a folder named Mild Torginal Architecture. Inside was the first technical memo I had sent Noah before he officially joined. Subject line, MedLedger engine draft, rough but working. Date, the 18th of March. 2 months before Noah's first pitch, I saved everything. Not because I planned revenge, because after a certain kind of betrayal, memory is no longer enough. You need receipts with timestamps. Over the next few weeks, Noah became bolder. He stopped inviting me to investor calls. He introduced me as our lead engineer instead of co-founder. He asked me to review the new vesting agreement, which quietly reduced my founder equity if I did not remain in a company, approved executive role. I took it to an attorney. Her name was Grace Lynn. She worked out of a small office above a bakery in East Austin, and she had the calmest voice I had ever heard from someone reading something ugly. She looked through the agreement once, then again, then she said, "Do not sign this." I laughed once, but it had no humor in it. "That bad," she tapped page 7. "This gives the board power to reclassify your role and claw back unvested equity. Since there is no independent board yet, practically speaking, this gives Noah leverage to push you out after the round." I looked down at my own name on the document. Viola Carter printed there like bait. "Do you have proof of your original contributions?" I said. "Yes," she looked up. "Good, then start organizing it, quietly." That became my second job. During the day, I kept MedLedger alive. At night, I built a folder called Origin Proof, Original Repository Exports, commit logs, email threads, Slack messages, product memos, screenshots of old whiteboards, client emails thanking me directly, meeting recordings where Noah called me his co-founder, a signed LLC formation document listing both of us, a provisional patent draft naming me as inventor on the claims matching process, a video from our first demo day where Noah said on stage, Viola wrote the first version before I even knew how to pronounce CPT codes. I watched that video 3 times, not because I needed it, because sometimes you need to hear the truth from the mouth that later denied it. The subplot came from someone I did not expect, a junior developer named Miles Reed. Miles was 23, nervous, and brilliant in the way quiet people often are when nobody interrupts their thinking. He came to my desk one evening after most of the office had left. He held his laptop with both hands. "Viola, can I ask you something weird?" I said. "Always." He lowered his voice. "Noah asked me to rewrite parts of the attribution comments in the codebase." My fingers stopped moving. "What do you mean?" Miles opened his laptop and showed me a message. "Noah, clean up old comments that make the code look less professionally developed. Remove personal notes. Old initials. Anything that suggests solo dev origins. Need repo clean before investor diligence." I read it twice. Old initials, solo dev origins. My name did not appear in the message. It did not need to. Disrespect had learned how to use business language. Miles said, "I didn't change anything. I just wanted you to know." That was when I realized the betrayal was no longer social. It was technical. Noah was not just changing the story. He was trying to sand my fingerprints off the machine. I told Miles, "Forward that to your personal records. Do not send it to me from the company account yet." He looked scared. "Am I in trouble?" "No," I said. "You just became careful." 2 days later, Noah called an all-hands meeting. There were 12 of us in the office then. He stood near the glass wall with his hands in his pockets, performing concern. He announced we were entering a sensitive fundraising period. He said titles would be adjusted externally to protect strategic clarity. Then he looked straight at me. "Some people may feel emotionally attached to early-stage roles, but mature companies require mature leadership." There it was. The public humiliation. Not loud, not vulgar. Worse, professional. The kind of insult people can pretend not to hear. My cheeks warmed, but I did not move. A few people looked down. One advisor nodded slowly, like cruelty sounded smarter when it used the word mature. Noah continued, "Going forward, I'll be the sole founder represented in investor materials. Viola will remain valuable on the technical side. Not founding, not equal, valuable. Like a chair, like a laptop, like something owned." Everyone waited for me to speak. I did not. Not because I had nothing to say, because the truth had not finished compiling. That afternoon, Noah emailed me a calendar invite. Title, Role Alignment Discussion. Attendees, Noah, me, HR consultant, outside counsel. Outside counsel. That was how I knew he had already prepared a box and only needed me to step inside it. I forwarded the invite to Grace. She replied with one sentence. "Attend, say little, take notes." So I did. The meeting lasted 46 minutes. Noah said my emotional response to founder branding had become a distraction. The HR consultant said transitions were normal in startups. The outside counsel said nothing for most of the meeting. Then Noah slid a severance proposal across the table. Severance. For my own company, it offered 3 months of pay, a small equity buyout, and a mutual non-disparagement clause. In exchange, I would resign from all leadership duties and agree not to claim founder status publicly. I stared at the paper. The low point was not anger, it was grief. Because for one brief second, I saw the company as it had been before the theft, the ugly warehouse, the broken Wi-Fi, the first client call, Noah bringing coffee, me believing we were building something together. Then I looked at the signature line. They had already typed my name. People who plan your disappearance often leave a blank where they expect your dignity to sign. I pushed the paper back. "I'll review it." He had expected tears, or rage, or negotiation. Calm women make arrogant men nervous because they cannot tell where the fire is. After that meeting, the pressure increased. My admin permissions were reduced. My title disappeared from the website. The company bio page changed overnight. Noah Whitaker, founder and CEO. MedLedger was born from Noah's vision to simplify clinic billing. I took a screenshot. Not because it hurt, because it was evidence. Then came the investor meeting. Series of $10 million. The meeting was in a private conference room on the 21st floor of a building downtown, with glass walls and a view of Austin that made ambition look expensive. The lead firm was Hartwell Ventures out of New York. Their partner was a woman named Elaine Mercer. Sharp gray suit, silver hair, eyes like she could hear punctuation. Noah had tried to keep me out of the room. He said it was busyness, focused. Then Hartwell's diligence team asked for technical leadership to attend. He could not say no, so there I was, 2 chairs away. Quiet, he opened the presentation with the new deck, his story, his company. He talked about fragmented billing systems. He talked about market size. He talked about AI. He talked about proprietary code as if he had personally pulled it from the earth with his bare hands. I watched the investors watch him. Some impressed, some cautious. Elaine Mercer, unreadable. Then came the live demo. Noah clicked the dashboard. For the first few minutes, everything worked. Patient billing flags loaded. Error categories appeared. Clinic savings projected. Then he reached the predictive claims feature. The one I had warned him was not production ready. He had asked Miles to rush it after removing several of my old validation checks because the comments looked too messy. The demo froze. Noah laughed lightly. Wi-Fi. It was not Wi-Fi. He refreshed. The screen threw an error, not a pretty user error. A raw backend exception for 3 seconds. The room saw the bones of the software. And there, in the stack trace, was a file path. Noah had failed to rename Pithiola Core. Claims the Mature original Lyracy engine. Pi silence entered the room like it had been invited. Noah clicked fast, too fast. Elaine Mercer raised one hand. Stop. He stopped. She leaned forward. What is Viola Core? Noah smiled. Legacy naming convention from an early contractor. Contractor, that word walked across the table and slapped me quietly. Elaine turned her head toward me. And are you Viola? I met her eyes. Yes. What was your role in the original system? Noah cut in. Viola contributed to early engineering support. I can explain the architecture. Elaine did not look at him. She kept looking at me. I asked Miss Carter. That was the moment the room changed. Not dramatically. No thunder. No music. Just a shift. The kind you feel when people stop believing the loudest person and start listening for the most accurate one. I placed my notebook on the table. My role was original architect and co-founder. I wrote the first working version of the rules engine, the claims matching logic, the audit trail system, and the early clinic dashboard. I also authored the first technical memo and led implementation for the Dallas urgent care pilot. Noah gave a small laugh. Viola, let's not confuse contribution with founding. I opened my laptop, not quickly, not angrily. Slow enough for everyone to understand that nothing I was about to show had been assembled in panic. Elaine said, "Do you have documentation?" I said, "Yes." Noah's face changed. Only a little, but enough. I connected my laptop to the conference screen. The first document appeared, MedLedger LLC Formation Agreement members. Noah, Whitaker, and Viola Carter, equity allocation, signatures. Date. Noah shifted in his chair. I clicked once. Original Git commit log. Author, Viola Carter. Date, the 18th of March. Message, initial rules engine for clinic billing anomaly detection. I clicked again. Email to Noah. Subject, MedLedger engine draft, rough but working. The room read in silence. I clicked again. Video clip from our first demo day. Noah's own voice filled the conference room. Viola wrote the first version before I even knew how to pronounce CPT codes. Nobody laughed, because truth is funniest before it becomes evidence. I clicked again. Provisional patent draft. Inventor Viola Carter. I clicked again. The Slack message from Noah to Miles. Remove personal notes, old initials, anything that suggests solo dev origins. Miles sat near the wall, frozen. I did not look at him. I would not make a witness feel like a weapon. Elaine read the message. Then she looked at Noah. Did you instruct an employee to remove attribution before diligence? Noah swallowed. That message is being taken out of context. A man from Hartwell's legal team leaned forward. What is the context? Noah opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. The room waited. This is what receipts do. They do not yell. They make liars perform surgery on their own sentences without anesthesia. Noah tried again. We were cleaning the codebase for professionalism. Professionalism does not usually require erasing a co-founder. There it was, the public reversal. The same investor room where Noah planned to make me invisible became the room where every hidden line of code raised its hand and said my name. Noah turned to me then, not with guilt, with anger. A private kind, the kind that says, "How dare you survive the version of events I prepared?" "Viola," he said carefully, "this is not the place." I looked at him. It became the place when you put my absence in the deck. No one moved, so I continued. You asked investors to fund a company while hiding the person who built the product, reducing her access, rewriting her role, and preparing a severance agreement that required her not to claim founder status. Elaine's eyes sharpened. There is a severance agreement. I opened the next file. There it was, my typed name at the bottom. Noah's counsel leaned toward him and whispered something. Noah whispered back too harshly. Everyone heard enough to know it was not confidence. Elaine closed her folder. Hartwell's associate stopped taking notes. One of our advisors stared at the table like the wood had become fascinating. The collapse was not loud. That made it better. Noah did not scream. He did not confess. He smiled too long. Then he asked if he could speak to Elaine privately. That was when I knew it was over. Because men who control the room do not ask to shrink it. Elaine said, "Number this remains, part of diligence." Noah's smile finally broke. "We can restructure," he said. "This is a misunderstanding between co-founders." Co-founders. The word returned to his mouth only after the investors found it in the evidence. I almost smiled. Almost, Elaine looked at me. "Miss Carter, do you still have current administrative control over the system?" I said, and my permissions were reduced last week. Hartwell's legal partner turned to Noah. "Who approved that?" Noah said nothing. Miles lifted his hand from the wall, quietly, like he was asking permission to stop being afraid. "I was asked to help move some permissions," he said. "I have the ticket history." Noah closed his eyes. 1 second. That was all. But 1 second is enough when the room has already decided what it means. The meeting ended without a check, not delayed, not postponed. Hartwell withdrew pending investigation. 2 other investors followed within 48 hours. Our advisors called an emergency governance review. Grace Lynn sent a formal notice asserting my founder status, equity rights, inventor claims, and evidence of attempted misrepresentation during fundraising. Noah tried to call me 11 times that night. I did not answer. He emailed. "Viola, we need to talk like adults," I replied with 1 sentence. "Please direct all company and legal communication to counsel." Then I slept, not peacefully, but deeply. There is a difference. Peace comes later. Deep sleep comes when your body finally stops bracing for the next lie. The investigation took 3 weeks. Not everything became public. That is important. Real revenge does not always need the internet. Sometimes the strongest consequences happen in rooms where signatures matter more than comments. Noah stepped down as CEO. That was the official language. Step down. People love gentle words for hard falls. The board appointed an interim operator from one of our early investors. My founder title was restored on all company documents. My equity was confirmed. My inventor status was corrected in the patent filings. Miles was protected as a whistleblower and later promoted. The website changed again. This time, under the company history, there was a sentence that looked simple to everyone else. MedLedger was co-founded by Viola Carter, who developed the original claims matching engine, and Noah Whitaker, who led early commercial strategy, simple, clean, accurate. Sometimes restoration does not look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like your name being put back where thieves thought the world would not notice it missing. Noah sent one final email before his company account was disabled. No subject, just a few lines. You didn't have to destroy everything. I read it once, then I replied. I didn't destroy it. I documented it. He never wrote back. MedLedger raised a smaller round. Not 10 million, 4 million. Enough to survive. Enough to rebuild. Enough to learn the difference between fast money and clean money. Elaine Mercer did not leap around, but she introduced us to someone who did. Before she left our last call, she said, "For what it's worth, Miss Carter." The code was easier to trust than the pitch. I thought about that for a long time. Because that was the whole lesson. Noah thought the story made the company valuable. But stories without truth are just costumes. The product worked because someone had sat alone at a second-hand desk and built it line by line, after work, with no applause, no spotlight, and no investor watching. He thought erasing my name would make the company cleaner. But removing the name from the page did not remove the mind from the product. It only made the lie easier to prove. I still walk into conference rooms quietly. I still let people talk first. I still believe calm is not weakness. But now I know something I wish I had learned earlier. Never confuse being low maintenance with being disposable. Never confuse humility with permission. And never let someone call your fingerprints clutter because they are trying to sell the house you built. Noah erased my name from the startup, but he forgot that code keeps a better memory than people. And when the investors finally asked who wrote it, I did not need revenge in my voice. I had version history. I had timestamps. I had the original files. And the truth had already learned how to run without me touching the keyboard. Some people fight to be seen. Women like Viola keep the receipts until the room has no choice but to look.